Oh, hello everybody. Sorry, my computer was shaking for a moment. Um, how you all doing tonight? Welcome to tonight's Get in Tune. I'm Michael Gracia, and I have a wonderful show planned for tonight. I got a good friend of mine coming on. He's an amazing writer. He's done a bunch of different comics. Um, he's done a lot. He's got his own podcast. We're going to talk about a lot of things tonight, but most importantly, we're going to talk about his latest Kickstarter for a comic with the greatest title ever that I am kicking myself I did not come up with. It is called The Shameless Plug. And let us bring on Jorge Medina, who will talk all about it tonight. And let's find where that click is. And there it is. Hello.
What's up, Michael? How you doing, man?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for the compliment. I
Oh,
appreciate that.
you're welcome. Listen, I that was one of those words like, wow, that was just too perfect to like, how did I not think of that? You know?
Ah, That's so funny. We were just talking about how, like, I'm very proud of the title because I am not necessarily good with titles. I struggle when I'm coming up with a title for a comic or a story. So, thank you for saying that.
Oh no, you're
That was,
very welcome.
and it was one of those things that just kind of like it just happened. It was serendipitous in a way, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to say hi to Dylan in the
Dylan,
audience.
what's
Hey,
going
Dylan.
on, man?
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about everything tonight. We're going to
Yes.
talk about. I want to know more. Well, first of all, we're going to talk about the Shameless Plug, but we are going to learn more about you again. Where give us a little recap.
Mhm.
It's been a while since you've been on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
last time I saw you was what, Yonkers Comic Con, I think.
Right. Yes, that
Yeah,
was back in what was it, September last month? Sometime last
I
month.
think so. Yeah, but
Yeah.
before that, it was a
Oh,
long time.
it was a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's so anyway, how have you been?
I've been good, man. I've been busy, 30 days of a campaign, I don't know if have you done campaigns, Mike?
Not yet, but
No.
I am in the process of figuring out how I would do them.
Yeah, well, get ready because it's 30 days of like just everyday hustling and, reaching out to people and check out the campaign. And, I know that some people would be like, dude, like I've seen your posts. I know it's out there.
Yeah.
I'll get to it. But I don't know that because we all know algorithms on some of these social media platforms you may not get like something that I posted till 5 days after the campaign is done. So
Yeah.
I have to kind of talk about it, and tell you about it as it's happening. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, the main reason I haven't done it, there are two. One, I haven't had a product to really say
Mm, yeah,
I
yeah.
want to run a crowdfunding for. Number two, I always felt like my anxiety would
Mm.
just drive, like all the stuff you're just talking about would just be like
Uh,
refreshing every 10 seconds. Like, what
oh,
back? Is there a backing? Is there a back? Did I get a backer? Did I get a back? Why is there only two backers? Why is there only five?
every day, every day.
Yeah.
Oh, forget about it. It's insane.
Uh,
And,
yeah.
and that's and listen, that's why I want to thank everyone who has pledged so far. And if I've reached out to you and you hit that pledge button, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. It's been
Yeah,
incredible.
I think that's great. I love when I can back something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't always have the cash. I always try to back at least the digital tiers for people,
Yes, yes.
just so I could back something. But
Yeah. No, no,
sometimes,
and listen, you backed my Wonder Dog
yes, I
camp
did, and
a
I
couple of
love it.
years ago. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Very welcome.
That
That
was
is a
awesome.
great story. And last time you were on, we talked about some of your influence and very Disney afternoon
Yeah,
esque
yeah. Oh yeah.
influences, and you and I have a lot of the
Hmm,
um,
hmm.
same love of that and the same like type of storytelling. Like one day you and I will work together on that.
I know. Yeah. No, we started to talk about it, and then I know things get life gets in the way,
At
and
the moment, I do have a lot more free time.
you were mentioning that.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Oh boy.
So,
Oh man.
but yeah, yeah. So for those who are unaware of you, give us a little background. I'm just going to step away. I'm
Yeah,
still in the room. I just want to turn my fan on.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Go for it.
just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into comics.
Yeah, I was, a kid of the 80s and 90s. I grew up watching cartoons mostly and reading comic strips rather than comics. I got into comic books much later in life. I think I was like maybe like 12, 13 years old when I got into comics. I started, reading the comics in the newspaper, the
Mhm.
comic strips, Beetle Bailey and those things.
Love
And I enjoyed that. And I got into cartoons at a very early age. Before we came on, I was telling you about the manga that I
it. Mhm.
watched. Well, because I grew up in Ecuador. I was born in Ecuador, grew up there, came here when I was 7. So when I was a kid, a little kid, I was watching cartoons like, Massinger Z. Here you said it was what was it called here?
Transposy, it was called.
Transfer Z. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was watching that in Ecuador. So and that was much like we were talking about an influence for you. It was a huge influence for like how I was kind of inspired by that kind of storytelling, where it was more like realistic storytelling, because the story is about a kid who loses his uncle. His uncle's a scientist who has created this big machine, and he's now has to like man it through a little transport that goes into his head. Like it was the coolest thing I had ever seen at that age, and so that kind of I think shaped the way I kind of wanted to tell stories, and then obviously I got into the cartoons of the 80s and late 80s, early 90s, at Disney Afternoon. We were talking about
Mhm.
Looney Tunes, Animaniacs. Like those were like kind of the things that I enjoyed a lot. That is the Menace and like Heathcliff and Garfield and
Yeah.
those cartoons growing up. So yeah, a lot of that, all of that was a big influence on what I write, how I write, and why I write the stories that I write.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? You were saying something. You were saying something else. But anyway, never mind. If I remember, I'll get back to it. It's not a big deal. Listen, George has been on. I think this is your third, maybe fourth
Yeah, I
appearance.
think so. Yeah,
So you
yeah.
guys, another, after this one, can go back and watch his other appearances. Well, hey, he's number one, always great to chat with. Number two,
Thanks.
we always go over this, so all the information is in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
is
for
in the
sure.
videos. Yeah, no, we wow. There's just so much to go into because you know, you want, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm thinking back to our old chats on the interview, you wanted to be an artist first,
Yes, yeah.
and you felt your artwork, which I disagree with, was
Thanks.
as up to the level that you felt it should be.
Yeah, well, you know what it is, like, and because I mean, you're an artist as well. Like drawing, whether it's a cover or just a cool image that you drew and you're kind of sketching and stuff like that. That's one thing. But like when you're trying to draw a comic book where you're doing sequential art and
Yeah.
now you got to worry about perspective and anatomy and these things, man. That is such a like I look at it as such a daunting task that I'm like, you know what? Let me hire somebody to do that because I did try it. And I mean, to be fair to myself, I was pretty decent at the sequential art part of it. So if I had to thumbnail something or if I had to tell a story sequentially, I can do that.
Yeah.
It's making it look the way I want it to look. That's the problem for me. And I think that's why I shied away from it and I turned it into writing. And so I can write that sequential art. I can write that sequential kind of like blueprint for the artist versus having to draw it. And so, that and, I tell the story all the time and people who know me and have seen a lot of my interviews I talk about the critique that I got one time about my first book, the Rust book that I was telling you about,
Mhm.
Rust 5377, where they called the art garish and gaudy. And I was like, oh man, that just killed me. And I flipped the script on it. I said, you know what? I'm going to write the story. I'm going to hire some artists, but I'm still putting it out.
Mhm.
And that kind of like sealed it for me. I still draw, I still sketch. Obviously, like all the characters that I create, I've sketched them out myself. But as far as a full story, man, I hung up the pencil when it comes to that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I get it. I understand. There are many times I draw something and I don't feel it's right for the story I want to tell.
Mm,
But number one, I don't listen to critics. Never do.
I
Um,
shouldn't either.
critics, I don't want to say it this way because it's not always 100% true. And I had a teacher in my master's program for art history. I hate to say this, but me and her did not get along because I wrote a paper how critics are usually failed artists.
Ah,
They think they can tear apart, work and, just kind of use their knowledge of art. And I feel like a lot of times they're just jealous of other artists.
mhm.
Um, and it turned out that my teacher was a failed painter, like wasn't
Oh,
getting shows and stuff
right.
to paint. I'm not saying she was failed. She was a painter, but wasn't selling
Yeah,
she
yeah.
wanted to or whatever. So she was doing art critic and,
Mm.
yeah, let's just say my grade wasn't as good as it could have been in the
Because of it. I get it. Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I learned at a very early age that if I want to do this, it doesn't matter what people tell me. I'm going to do it anyway, and so that's kind of how I attack it. I don't really listen to what people say, and I've said on here, and I think I've told you whether it was on here or privately. I
Mhm.
had at 16 was torn apart by an artist who I loved,
Yes, I
such
remember
a
this.
fan of, and then another artist kind of sat me down and told me, and this is kind of where I think I learned it. Maybe was you're not at professional level yet, but here's what you need to work on.
Yeah.
And they told me that some artists will knock you because they see the potential, and if you get to the level that they're at, they're going to, you're going to be competition for
You're a
work.
threat. Yeah, you become a threat to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
knock you out. And I was never, and maybe this is because I'm a teacher too, but
Mm.
I never wanted to be that way.
Yeah.
And I never tried, I never purposely acted that way towards anyone.
Right.
Um, I always try to give the best advice I could and help people. If I have a skill set, I'm going to share it. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's kind of where I think I learned that it doesn't matter what they say because there's always usually a reasoning behind it. Some of it, excuse me, just isn't always honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you gotta pick and choose who you listen to.
Hmm.
Um, and for me, like I change styles a lot based on
The project?
based on the project. Like, I just showed you guys, and last week I showed the mock cover for a manga style comic I want to do.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I drew that years ago. I drew 7 pages of it and tried to kind of sell it just to get some ideas, like a little digest type of thing at shows. And I got some weird feedback on it,
Really?
Yeah, like some people like, oh, the art's okay, or the story has potential, but it's kind of weak writing. Like I got a few different things, and
Yeah.
I put it away, but I always had the idea in my head. And when I realized that it was a giant robot story, that's really all it is. I'm like, I went back to shows like Trans or Z
Hmm.
and all, Voltron and all the other
Yeah.
stories I grew up on. And I really said, let me embrace what the manga stuff I read or the animes I used to watch. Um, and I'm like, I always loved that 70s and 80s, anime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even going back into the 60s, I just love all that, like the cartoony work that they had that
Hmm.
before it got into, what people would recognize as anime in the 90s,
Right.
before
Yeah.
all that stuff really changed. Back when we still just called it a cartoon. Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Right. Yeah. It wasn't. It didn't have a. Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
because like I remember what was it back in the 90s, we used to call it Japanimation before it was called anime or something
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
um it didn't it was just it was is what is. But when I went back and started playing and trying to draw that kind of in that 70s style, everything kind of changed for the strip. The way I wrote, like
Mm.
the way I started writing, the way the ideas came,
Yeah.
and I was talking with a friend of mine today, and I have a bunch of ideas for other stories. I have a superhero story, and it's like, well, what just because I'm doing this in the 70s style doesn't mean I want to do it in the 70s style, the superhero mind, or 70s like anime. My normal style kind of has that Bruce Timm, Alex Toth,
Hmm. Hmm.
maybe a little Gil Kane in there, sometimes a little Kurt Swan, just things that I loved growing up, of like Silver Age superheroes and whatnot. And I'm like, when I draw that superhero story, I have a feeling that's the direction I'm going to lean.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and my humor stuff looks different too. And so it's just
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, Mike, because yeah, you're right. I mean, I think that you can change your styles of the story you're telling, and as a writer, when I'm looking for an artist, I'm looking for somebody who can match the story that I'm telling. So it's so important, and the fact that you can switch it up that way is it's great because it will save you a lot of money to do it.
well, I am a one man
Yeah,
operation, and
it's time that you have to worry about more
yeah,
so, and that's probably more valuable, I would
yeah.
think.
I mean, there is stuff I'd like to pay people to draw, like I've written, and I'm like, I never want to draw this just because it took me so long to write. But we'll see. Maybe one day.
Yeah, yeah.
And But anyway, let's get into well, first, before we get into the shameless plug, you
Hmm.
mentioned Russ,
Yeah.
you mentioned Wonder Duck.
Hmm.
Now Russ was your first comic,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, yes,
Um,
that was the first comic, yeah.
and did you do I because I can't remember how many
Mhm.
issues did you do of that? Was that a multiple issue story or?
It was a 6-issue mini series that I
Okay.
compiled into a graphic novel. So if you guys are interested in checking it out, it's actually on my website. So if you go to getyourmeds.com, you can get the graphic novel there. But yeah, it was originally released as a single issues. It was 6 issues, and then I compiled it into a trade. So
Now,
now it's a trade.
let me add, because doing 6 issues for your first book, did you find that difficult to do?
Yeah, because originally, see, because when I was drawing the story, when I was doing the drawing and the writing and everything for the story, I didn't I didn't write in script format, so I didn't have the thing plotted out, script. I kind of like I was like a pantser. I was writing by the seat of my pants. I was just kind of like I was just writing the stories, or I would fold. Sometimes I would fold, and I don't know if you did this. I would fold the paper in half, and I would just draw right on the paper. And as the stories are coming along, I would draw it, and it was the worst way to do it because I hit a wall. By issue 3, I didn't know what the hell the story was going, so
Mm.
I decided to kind of like back up, write what I wanted to write, really plot it, think about where it was going to go, what was going to happen in the story, and then I wrote the 6 scripts, and then I sent those scripts to an artist, and that's how the story kind of ended up being completed.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, because I think a lot of people, we jump into big projects like I did with my Plunger Pup. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a 3-issue miniseries,
Right, right.
and I'm like, man, I really should have done this in one
Just like
comic,
a one shot. Yeah,
just a
yeah,
one shot the first time around.
yeah,
But no, that's impressive that you had to do 6.
yeah.
I kind of worked the same way you worked in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. See.
Um, Now what I do is I tend to plot out kind of like the whole story and
Hmm.
say this is the beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
And then from there, I break it up into how many books I want.
Right.
And then when I pull out each book and I say, okay, in book 1, this is happening. I
Hmm.
need 5 pages for this part of the story. I need 2 pages for this. And that's, even before I write the script,
Yeah.
because then I know I can think about my process, or not just my process, but how to pace
Yeah,
or
the beats
yeah,
of the story are there, so you know exactly where
yeah.
you're gonna. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's
Is
a
that
great way
kind
to
of
do it.
how you do it now, or?
Yeah, yeah. And it depends. Sometimes some stories just kind of write themselves, and and you're like, oh wow, that was easy. And some stories you really have to think about. Okay, how is the pace of this story? Coming along. Oh, that's slowing it down a little too much. Let me do this. Let me move this here, and this doesn't make sense here. So some stories take a little longer. Like the Shameless Plug took longer to write than, say, for example, a Wonder Duck adventure. Like a Wonder Duck adventure is a 20. I think about it as a 22-minute cartoon,
Mhm.
and what's going to happen in each kind of like in Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and I have my cartoon on paper essentially. So that's a lot easier to write than, say, for example, because the Shameless Plug is a 140-page graphic novel.
Wow.
What you guys are getting in the Kickstarter is the first 40 pages of it, but that took longer to write than, like I said, something like that. And even Russ took a little longer to write too, because I did what you did, what you were talking about, where like I know what happens at the end of the issue one, I know what happens at the end of issue two, three, four, and so on. So yeah, it really depends. It really depends on the story.
And so moving on just to Wonder Duck, because I want to just kind of talk about your,
Yeah.
all that too, because I love Wonder Duck. I
Thank you,
really
man.
do. And I
Thank
do
you.
need to get the trade from you. I don't have a copy of that yet.
Oh yeah,
I,
yeah, for
I only
sure.
backed the first part, which was like the first, I guess,
First
half.
four. Yeah, the
Yeah.
first four.
Which phenomenal, dude.
Thanks, man.
Phenomenal story.
Thank you.
Really is a lot of fun. Now with Wonder Duck, or do you have more? First, do you have more planned?
Yes, I do. So the first 8 issues are done. They're finished. But I have been writing another. You mentioned a story, a 3-issue story, and that's what the next kind of story of Wonder Duck will be. It'll be 3 issues of another adventure that he goes on. So I'm actually I've written like the first drafts of each one of those 3 issues, and it's just a matter of just fleshing those things out or just editing those things, and then I can send them out to get drawn. But yeah, no, there's definitely. I mean, I have a few stories for Wonder Duck that I want to tell.
That's great.
Yeah.
He is such a great character. And I got to say, I wish I was able to pull him out right now. I was going through some paperwork the other day, like just drawings of mine, and I found a couple of rough sketches I did of Plunger Pup meeting Wonder Dog.
Oh my God. You read my. I was thinking what I wanted to do was I wanted to do some crossovers with like indie friends that I know that are artists that have their own cartoons in the vein of Wonder Duck. And I
Yeah.
did one with John Coates. I don't know if you know John Coates.
I know of him. I never met him personally, but I know.
He's got a character called the Bionic Caveman.
Yes.
And so we did a crossover of Wonder Duck and the Bionic Caveman that actually is being published right now through an anthology called The Unknown. David K. Montoya has produced that, and it's actually out. It's actually out. The story, and it was fun. It was fun to kind of like put him in a situation with another character from somebody else's IP. So I was actually going to reach out to because I do want to do something like that with Plunger Pup, man.
Definitely. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
Here's my current schedule. I got 1 page left in a children's book I'm doing.
Oh, cool.
I have my own children's book I wrote, illustrated, literally 1 page left. The book is done. I'm trying to get it done before the end of this weekend. Nice. Then I'm drawing I call it manga influence because I won't say it's officially a manga. I'm going to draw the first chapter of that. It's 20 pages. I want that done before the new year.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And in my spare time, I am working on bringing Plunger Pup back.
Oh, I love that.
So I got a few things in the works.
Oh, I love that.
But I would love to do, and Plunger Pup I'd love to release as a webcomic. That's the goal.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I don't want to, I just want his story out there, rebuild the fan base. And
yeah,
I had, when I was doing it, I mean, this is beginning of the internet. I never really had, I had fans from local cons. I didn't have like the fan base I built like with the Wiz, where there were all over the place. I'd really like to build more with Plunger. And I'm almost, I don't want to say I'm almost done. I'm almost done writing the next Wiz book that collects everything. So I'm putting pages together in the Wiz. The last year was, you read it was basically a D&D campaign. So what I'm doing is I'm adding strips of other characters that were part of it and telling side stories. Just like a D&D, you'd have little side quests. So you get to learn more about the. So I'm writing those strips right now.
Cool.
So,
nice.
But I've been putting pages together of how everything's laid out, just like the first book I did. So yeah, I'm trying to keep busy.
Yeah. Hey man, that's great. That's great. Hey, what's up, JD?
JD, say hi there.
Let's see what's going on.
Hey, I actually like that spelling, even though it's no. I had my D&D character. I always went with a character name. I just called him Michael, but I spelled it Mykel, I think.
Oh, nice.
Or is it Mykell? That's how I spelled it, Michael.
Oh, Michael, nice. I like that. And, do you like Mike?
No, no. It's okay. It's okay. I totally get it. Don't worry. At least you put the A and the E in the right spot. A lot of people screw that up.
That's true. Better than Michelle, I guess.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I don't. I'm just joking anyway. I don't care too much. No, I actually prefer Michael.
Michael, yeah.
I'm not like a jerk. If you call me Mike, I'm
Yeah.
not like, hey, shut up. You got my name wrong. No,
Right, it's Michael.
but
Yeah, yeah, no, I got you.
it's Mikey. I really don't like.
Oh,
That,
Mikey.
that's
Jeez.
the one I really don't like. It's I have a few friends who call it to me kind of like just joking around because they know it bugs me, so they just do it
Hey,
jokingly.
Mikey. Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's that's what I don't answer to is Mikey.
yeah.
I don't answer to that. I've always, but this was me as a kid. I always liked Michael. You
You
know,
did? Okay.
even as a kid, I just liked my full name, not.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not a jerk. If you call me Mike, I'm not gonna not
Right.
answer you. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, I always just say the full thing because I never really, and you never know. I mean, some people prefer, certain
I try
names.
to I try to ask every time. It's
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so I know we were talking about Wonder Duck and we kind of went off topic, but yeah, we'll move on to this. But Wonder Duck is a great story.
Thank
I
you.
would love to, when I start bringing Plunger Pup back,
Yeah,
a Wonder Duck
love that. Yeah,
Plunger Pup, even if it somehow enters into my webcomic, that
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
releasing, and
yeah.
we do like a 3-5 page arc
Yeah.
or whatever.
Oh,
So
I love that, dude. Yeah,
yeah,
just let me know, man. I'm down for that.
yeah, I,
100%.
and I would love to draw the character. So just letting you know if you ever need a pin up or
Oh, perfect.
whatever, just
Perfect.
let
Yes.
me know, man.
Good. Good.
So tell us about how, and before we go on to the Kickstarter, I want to talk a little bit about the Shameless Plug. Tell us how you came up with the character, what it's about a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't give away too much. I want to talk the Kickstarter and I want people to buy the book.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
So this was the inspiration behind the character itself. This
okay.
just a simple thing like this. It was this. I was sitting in my car and I saw this sitting in the cup holder or whatever. And I picked it up and I was like, oh, that if you drew like a face on this thing, that would be a pretty cool character. And so that turned into that. And that's exactly what it became. So because originally I was gonna do a story where it was like I guess that would be anthropomorphic, right? I guess this would be
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna make him and put him in a world of anthropomorphic plugs where what the plugs do, they fit into sockets, right? So the idea of fitting in was always in the idea of the shameless plug and how fitting in sometimes just being brash and being yourself and being not being shy about who you are is the
Mhm,
best way sometimes to kind of like people like that kind of like you for who you are. Sometimes they respect you when you are who you are.
yeah.
And I think when we're younger we don't understand that concept. We think that's different. We shy away from that.
Mhm,
So that idea was always there, and I was going to put him in a world of plugs, and he was going to be the misfit and the out and
mhm,
outsider. And I was like, that kind of it's kind of been done, I guess, in a way. And then I thought about my story growing up, and I mentioned that I grew up in Ecuador. I was born in Ecuador. I grew up in Ecuador. I
mhm,
came here when I was 7, and I thought about how I felt when I first came here, and it was like I was different. I didn't speak the language. I didn't quite fit in. What if I had somebody to help me navigate through that kind of stuff? And so that's how the idea formed, and that's where the shameless plug came in. And Joaquin, who's the little boy in the story, is going through the same thing, and he creates this imaginary friend who basically helps him go through that and teaching him that sometimes to fit in, being yourself is what you need to be. So that's kind of like where the story came from and where it went and where it is now.
That sounds like a great story. Just,
Exactly.
I like that you approach it and you're like, you know, you think of the word, what do plugs do? They plug in, they fit into something.
Right. Yeah.
But in fitting in, I just like how you kind of springboarded into all that idea there, and then you thought about yourself, and when you came to America, I think that's really cool because most of the time, I don't think a lot of people get kind of like the theme of their story right away. They
Right.
like you just kind of like write. At least that works for me. I don't go
Mhm.
into it with I'm going to tell a story about this.
Right. No,
For
I
me,
get it.
like
Yeah.
I'm going to tell a Plunger Pup story, and I know Plunger Pup is about this, and I want to put him on a planet that he's fighting. I don't know, mythological, creatures like Cyclops.
Yeah.
And as you write, you find a theme
Yeah.
there, and that comes out. Going into it with the idea that is that something that happens a lot to you, or is that something just kind of special on here?
No, I think it depends on again, it all depends on the story. So like Wonder Duck is similar to what you're talking about with Plunge Pup. Wonder Duck was just I was a fan of the cartoons that I watched, and I just wanted to create my own cartoon that I would watch. And
Yeah,
that's all Wonder Duck is. It's just adventures that Wonder Duck goes on, superhero adventures in different, like you said, different worlds, different planets. Part of what I liked about DuckTales, for example, was that, Scrooge McDuck and his nephews would go on these adventures in every episode. They would be, trying to find treasure in one episode. You know what I mean? They would be battling, Cersei or whatever the witch was in another
yeah,
episode. Like there was always an adventure, whether it was the Bugle Boys or whatever it was. So that's what that was. With this story, it was different. It was, and I say that I'm an immigrant kid from Ecuador, but it's not an immigrant story. It's not just that. There is that, but it's not just that. I think it's a story about, listen, you start a new job, you go to a new school. As a kid, fitting in, and even as an adult, fitting in is something it's a human thing,
yeah,
right? Finding your quote unquote tribe, finding people that us, for example, right? We're constantly looking for people who kind of like think the way we do, because in the real world or in the normal world, they don't know about the stuff that we talk about. That just sounds crazy to them. But here, we can talk about that stuff and be who we are, and we fit in here. So like, it deals with that kind of stuff. It's not just about, hey, George is an immigrant. You want an immigrant story? Nah, it's more. It's, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just that. But this particular story just kind of took shape, and it did that. So it's not always that way. Um, but it's kind of cool, like when it happens, organically, and it's not forced. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I find myself, I struggle with things like that. So it's really cool that like my writing. You mentioned you're bad with titles. I think I'm good with titles. I'm bad with names.
Oh, okay,
I'm bad
okay.
with names. So
Hey, listen, Mike Cal was kind of cool though.
yeah, but that was like me being an idiot. It was playing D&D with friends of mine. They're like, "Oh, you need a name," and I created like a. I mean, he's a was he a wizard? I haven't played him in years, but he's a magic user,
Right, right.
and I was like, I'll just use my name, but I'll spell it
Mhm.
weird, So, but that wasn't. I don't consider that clever. I consider that me just kind of being lazy. Like how does my name sound? I wrote it how it sounds. Um, I think the greatest name I created ever was like Dax Photon.
Oh,
I'm
Dax, that's the
which
other one, dude.
he's
I love
he's
that.
on my list to do. Maybe 2026, possibly 2020.
Oh, I love that. Dax
Um,
Fulton, man.
yeah, Dax is. I have a script that's been sitting in my computer. A friend of mine wrote it for me. I asked him to write it,
Yeah.
and I have a beautiful 60-page script ready to go.
Yes, and I think I know the person who wrote the
Yes,
script.
you
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. Great
but he
dude.
goes by a pen name, so I don't want to.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
doesn't want to know. He doesn't
Yeah.
want his actual name, so I won't say it on the air who he is. But he goes by, I believe, Patrick Hayes.
Patrick Hayes, yeah. He's got a book that he put out actually.
Yeah, he's got a couple.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, fantastic writer. Oh my! And let me tell you something about his writing. Just before we move on. And this is the kind of writer I enjoy working with. And if you're this way, it'll be awesome. When I give my writer, I'll tell him I have a story idea. This is the story. This I need to happen in the beginning, the middle, and the end. And these things, and I'll give them a list. These things have to happen exactly like
Really.
this order, this way, whatever. I said outside of that, I want you to write it however you want to write it.
Mm.
You're the writer, you're the type, you know what you're doing writing.
Yeah, yeah.
But this stuff has to be short. And then when I go and read it, If it doesn't happen, I give notes. If it happens, like he literally wrote this in ways where I was like, I knew what was happening, and I was just in awe
of how it
of
happened.
how it happened. Like the stuff, the little stuff he added. Like sometimes he'll like, yeah, and in the background, this is going on, and it's just like something to relate to what's happening in the foreground, but you don't even notice it.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
cool.
like I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, he's a really brilliant writer, that guy.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I love that. I love that.
It's funny. I ran into him outside of like because he used to work at the comic shop that closed down a
Yeah.
few years ago, and I ran into him at his new job, and we're actually in the same field.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, yeah, it was funny to run into him there. I was like, oh shoot, what are you doing here? He's like, dude, I work here. I'm like, get out of here. And we just started talking. It was nice just to catch up because it was obviously comic book shops, and that's the beauty of a comic book shop. Sometimes it's like when you become a regular there,
Yeah.
it's like Cheers, right? Everybody knows your name, and you walk into a
Hear
place.
that all the time, man. I
Yeah.
really do. And I'm sorry, I'll let you finish your story, but the thing that I miss about comic shops, besides being able to buy floppies,
Mm-hmm.
and read comics regularly, because now I can't,
Right.
um, is kind of the camaraderie that you had. Like it didn't matter what day.
Yeah.
You always knew someone who was walking into the store. You may have not even known their name, but you were like very friendly with them because you
Yeah.
just sat and talked to them. You
Right.
just sat there, talked about what books are on the shelves, old books, old story, whatever the hell it was. That
Yeah.
that's it was almost like having your own little club, or even like a therapy session with friends.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
You don't have that anymore, and that's the sad thing about comic shops closing. But anyway, I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, no, that was it. No, so I met him, and I remember meeting, that, and that's where actually that's where I met him,
Uh-huh.
and that's why I met, for example, Damian Torres, incredible artist. He used to frequent, the shop as well, and J.M. DeSantis. As far as he lived, he would come in, and you know what I mean, like. So yeah, no, it was a great spot. I don't know if you've been up in Ridge Hill here in Yonkers, Collector Cave.
I was there a couple of times. I got a few books that I don't know the owner. I've talked to him a couple of times.
Steve's a great dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he seemed really nice.
yeah,
I will say the first time when they opened, I called about something. When the Spider's Web closed down, I
yeah.
called about something, and he was a little rude to me on the phone.
Mm.
But when I'll tell this story. I I was collecting, was a Grew Against the Gods, because I collect anything Grew, and Grew, and when the comic shop closed, they didn't have any Grew anymore. I couldn't get the final book to it, and I asked guy, hey, do you have that? He's like, Grew. He didn't know who Grew was. And I don't know if it was the owner. I'm just going to say that. I don't know if it was the owner. It was someone at the store. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, is that an independent book? And I'm like, well, I think it was, I don't remember who the publisher was, but let's say it was like Dark Horse. I said, I think it's published by Dark Horse. He's like, yeah, no, we don't carry those books. If you want it, you can go on. I'm like, you didn't, but I'm like, you don't know who Brew was, or Sergio, or anything. So like I was like, it took me a while to go into the store, and then I go into the store, and I know I met Steve.
Yeah, yeah,
And he
yeah.
was a great guy.
Yeah, Steve's
Yeah,
awesome.
he was really cool.
Yeah,
And we talked for a while
yeah,
about whatever, because it's been about a year or so since I've
yeah,
been in the store.
yeah.
But yeah, I go, and my doctor's office over there. So if I go during the day, well, like,
Yeah, 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 right
go
there.
go to the store. But yeah, it's a nice store. A lot of great figures, and their
Yeah.
toy collection is good.
He's got two stores. He's got that one, and he's got the one in the Bronx.
I haven't been to the Bronx
Me
one.
neither. I haven't been to that one, but he has both. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say hi to Andrew, who's watching.
Andrew, what's up, man?
What's he saying? We miss our shops, and let's add a toast to all our friends at the comic shop. Yes. It's yeah, no, comic shops are a great place. I have to go back. Now that I have more time in my schedule, maybe I'll start visiting a few places.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That it still makes me laugh about that. I'll be talking about that on another show, though, probably. Because things are opening up, commissions,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
We'll be opening
gotta
up
do it. Gotta do
very
it.
soon, man. Um, anyway, yeah. So you were talking about Shameless Plug. Came up with this. Let's open up the Kickstarter page
Oh
and
yeah,
check
sure.
that out because it looks really great, and I just need to.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
Sorry about this.
it's actually it's done very well. I'm getting close to unlocking our third stretch goal, which will unlock a secret page within the book.
Ooh,
And with that, what you'll see is I'll have a video that I'll make explaining why it's a secret page. So it's so secret I can't tell you about it. But
okay.
it's the next stretch goal, and we're very close. It unlocks at $3,000, so we're
Wow.
very close to it. We have 7 days to do it, and I'm hoping to get to at least 100 backers soon. So we're chugging along. We're chugging along.
And you told us who the story was. Who's the artist on this book?
The artist is a gentleman by the name of Joseph Olesko. He's actually the artist on Wonder Duck. I loved working with him so much that I asked him if he wanted to work with me on this book, and he said yes. And I couldn't be happier because I love working with him. We have such a good, sometimes like, Michael, when you work with people, some people you just have a really good like dynamic, and you guys just kind of click, and that's kind of like how it is with Joseph. So he's been amazing. I mean, he's so fast as far as the artwork goes. Like the 40 pages, by the way, the first chapter is completely done. It's finished. Like the book is done. I'm actually he's up to page like 80. I mean, no, 90 right now. So it's 140 pages. We're almost done with the book. So the book is coming out regardless. So you don't have to worry about, oh, is this book going to get finished? No, it's done. It's just a matter of just the money for the printing and all the extra things, the alternate covers that I have. So yeah, no, Joseph Olesko is his name, and he's
Now,
incredible.
let me ask you, because if I remember correctly, when you did Wonder Duck, Joseph, who drew it,
Mhm.
you went to a specific company. Is he still with that company, or is
No.
it him separate from the company?
Yeah, so the company was Big Cat Studios, and I've been working with them. I worked with them way back in like '06.
Mhm.
The company itself, the studio disbanded. It's still around. It's called Studio Nine Lives now, and they do a lot of animations. They actually did some animations for Transylvania. Like they've done a lot of really cool stuff.
Okay.
Um, but some of the artists that were with the studio went on to do their own thing, and so I found Joseph online on Facebook actually, and I mentioned, I was like, hey Joseph, you worked on my book a few years ago. Would you be interested in coming back? This is when I was finishing up the Wonder Duck stuff that I was doing. I
Yeah.
said, would you be interested in coming back to finish up some of the Wonder Duck stuff you did? And he's like, absolutely, man, let's do it. So that's where we kind of linked up again. And
Mhm.
then from there, I had the idea, obviously, for the Shameless Plug, and I love this style. And so I said, would you be interested in doing this? And so he came on board.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. Where I love this. I love this work.
Yeah, yeah.
And is he's overseas, right? He's not in
Yeah,
America.
he's in the Philippines. Yeah, he's
So,
in the Philippines. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Very talented, very gifted actor, uh,
yeah.
artist.
Actor with a pencil.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Actor
He's
with a
he's
pencil.
my director and a director of photography, director. He's my, he's everything. But I decided to add a couple more photos. This photo right here is an homage to my grandfather. I
Mhm.
he they my grandma, my grandfather, my mother's side were the people who raised me when I was in Ecuador,
Mhm.
and we used to always play fight. And there's actually a picture of us. This is a real picture that I sent to him so he can kind of redraw it. And this is an homage to my grandfather,
Yeah.
who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. But yeah,
Wow. Sorry. But this is
yeah, it's
great.
just
I love his work. It's I don't know. There's this simplicity to it, but it just
yeah.
looks great.
Yeah, I love that too. I love that too. Like, and it fits kind of like the YA, kind of like thing that I'm doing, that I'm going with for the book. Yeah. So I decided to sprinkle in a couple of his images. They're just really cool images that I love.
I like that a lot. And then
And then these are the rewards. These are the tiers. You can get a digital copy of the book for $7 if you guys are interested in just checking out the digital stuff. The physical copy. And like I said, the book is done, so it's finished, and it's
Yeah.
full color, 40 pages. So you guys can get the physical copy if you'd like. I hired. Do you know Chris Mad?
I've met him a couple of times at shows, but I can't say like we're
Yeah.
friends.
No,
We
Chris is awesome, incredible artist. He did the alternate cover for me. He did the pencils and inks, and then Shauna Mad, she did the colors on the cover.
and this is the is this is his work, right?
That's his work. Yep, that's him.
Work,
That's him. Yeah, that's his thing. And I have that as this is with the trade address on it with the logo and everything, and then I also have it without the logo. So you have the Virgin cover and you have that cover. So you have three. You have It's actually three covers. So you have the main cover and then the two covers there. The next tier you're seeing here is you can get both of his covers and a print that I'm doing up. The covers at 6x9 print. They're not huge. It's 6x9 prints that you can always just.
yeah, basic standard comic size almost.
Yeah. The Shameless tier, I call it. That one has all three covers plus a print.
Mhm.
And then the Pay It Forward tier. So you know how we were at the Yonkers library
Yeah.
last month. So what I did was I spoke to the librarian there, and I asked them if they would be interested if I donated some books to the library, and they said, yeah, that would be great. So what I'm doing is I am doing a tier where if you pledge to this tier, you get both versions of the cover. So you get cover A and the cover B, and
Mhm.
then you also 5 books go to the library. So you're getting the two covers, and then the library gets 5 books. So I'm donating 5 books to the library based off of this tier. So for $50 you get that, and
That's fantastic.
yeah, no shipping. I cover the shipping for you guys, so you don't have to worry about shipping on that one.
Mhm.
And then this one is the Get Your Meds tier, which is everything I have in the library, basically. This book, and then the Rust book we talked about, the Wonder Duck graphic novels, a T-shirt, print, and a trading card for Wonder Duck at this
Wow,
tier. So that's that.
that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that.
Thanks, man.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, and then just a couple more of his images, some preview pages, just a sneak peek of what he's done. I do the lettering on the book. I decided to not put the lettering in here just so that you guys can see his artwork. Uh, and these are some of the pages that he's done on the book. He just yeah, I loved, like, it's one of those things where, like, I send him the script. It's so much like when you were talking about with your writer, for example, where you tell him, I need this to happen here, I need this to happen here, and then you get the script and you're like, whoa, this is even better than I thought. That's what I feel like when I send him a script and he sends me back a page. I'm like, dude, this is great. So yeah, I'm so appreciative of him. He's been incredible.
Well, let me check. I haven't seen if there are any. Oh, no comments. Okay, I'm on a different. I'm just covering the page,
Oh,
so
okay,
I'm
okay.
not seeing the comments. I just want to make sure. This is gorgeous stuff here.
Yeah, really cool stuff. I mean,
Like, and it really fits into what you're talking about with like the kind of stuff that you were influenced on, like cartoons. Like I see this
yeah,
as an old Saturday morning cartoon. Like
right.
that's how it's reading to me.
Yeah, yeah. And these are the kind of things that growing up for us in the 80s, and like what would happen in lunchrooms, with the kids, and like, kids will be kids, the
Yeah.
bully in school, and it was so he captured a lot of that stuff. So I was just so happy with how it all came out.
It's really good. And I love his coloring too on it.
Yeah, he does it all. So he does the pencils, inks, and he does the colors. So he's doing everything on the book. And so, that's the other thing that I love, because I don't have to now, worry about finding a colorist. Like, it's all there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so, and then these are add-ons, so you can add.
Add-ons. Yeah. So if you wanted an extra digital copy, or if you wanted a 6x9 print on its own, you wanted another copy for yourself of the books, you can get those too. And everything has become, I've made everything an add-on. So if you wanted another issue of Russ, or an issue of Wonder Duck, or you wanted a graphic novel or whatever, you can always add those things on
Yeah.
to your pledge.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love Yeah, I'm super impressed by the art. Like, I
It's,
know the story sounds good, but I don't,
yeah, no, it's important. And then this is the team. So that's Joseph there, and then Ellie Cunningham came in as the editor on the book. So I sent her my script and I said, hey, Lori, can you look through this thing, make sure that I'm not, I don't sound like an idiot. And she really did a great job. Joe Holly. So remember I told you I still sketch out. So I sketched out what I thought this guy was going to look like, and I sent it to Joe, and I said, Joe, can you just clean that up for me? And he did. And so the look of the Shameless Plug is what he basically did for me. And then I sent it over to Victor Claudio, who colored it for me. So these two guys finally combined to get that look. C. Michael Lanning kind of like fleshed out the rest of the cast. So I sketched out the cast, I sent it over to him, and he kind of like fleshed that out, made it look really nice. And then I sent that to Joseph to work on. So it was a lot of like kind of like chefs in the kitchen, but it worked out. And I appreciate everybody who helped me with this thing. And then down there you have Chris and you have Shauna's stuff. All their links are also here. So if you guys want to follow them on social media, please do click on those things, give them a follow, check out some of their work. They are very talented and they're great people. Great
yeah,
people.
yeah. I mean, I've interviewed, uh, why am I blanking on her name?
Oh, Lori, I like
Lori.
Cunningham.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
interviewed Lori. Lori was
Mhm.
so nice,
Yeah.
so great to chat with,
Yeah.
and
She's awesome.
I met Chris and Shauna at a show,
Hmm.
and see Michael. I can't read his last name from here, but I know
Yeah, Manning, C. Michael Lanning. I'm C. Michael Lanning. I say Manning. C.
Manning. Sorry,
Michael.
I'm connected with him on social media. I
Yeah,
know that he's a
yeah,
pretty cool guy.
yeah.
Um,
He's awesome.
I don't know if I ever met him though. I don't remember.
Mm.
Um, nice guy. And then you got these are your stretch goals.
So these are stretch goals. So we unlocked the sticker. We've unlocked the trading card, which I have right here. So it's already ready to rock and roll. At 3,000, we unlock like I said, the secret page that's in the book. So we'll unlock that. And then at 4K, the 4K one, I think it's going to be, an additional chapter in the book that we can unlock.
Oh
And
wow.
5K, we'll see. We'll see. We have 7 days. I don't know that we're going to make it that far, but if we do that,
Well, let's hope we can. You hit the 3K at
yeah,
least.
yeah.
I'd love to see you hit that. And then finally,
So finally, so my buddy Sam Vera, who we do a podcast with called Catch the Craze, he
yeah,
also has a campaign going on right now called Forbidden. And if people pledge to both campaigns, they get this print with their package. This is something that he did. This is his rendition of the Shameless Plug, and he kind of took liberties and created a pair of pliers. It looks like in the back, who's about to cut the Shameless Plug's cord. So that's what that is. But yeah, no, he had fun doing that, and I appreciate him drawing this thing. So if
that
you
is a
guys,
nice piece.
yeah, he did everything. He colored it. He did pencil. He did everything. So
I like his work a lot.
talented guy.
I got to get him back on and talk.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
I've been so like out of it with booking guests. I'm booking guests, but it's like there's so many either people I want to talk with
Oh
that
yeah,
I've never spoken with, and other people who are friends of mine that I'm like, hey, I haven't chatted with you in a while, and
I
want to
know.
get you, and I never know who to just like ask.
Right. No, I get it. I get it.
Wow, this is so good stuff, though. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's the campaign in a nutshell, man. That's what it is.
I think you got something really cool here. I mean,
Thank you.
you got.
Thank you.
I want to go back up.
And just so you guys know, so what I'm doing is every 10 backers. So right now, we've unlocked a spin next week on the show, but every 10 backers. So if we get to 100, it'll be another spin that we're unlocking. And, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the golden ticket. So
Yeah.
what I'm doing is I'm doing the golden cat bottle. So what happens is I spin the wheel on the show, and the winner gets one of these in their package. Any physical tier gets one of these in their package. What this unlocks is next year when the graphic novel is complete and 140 pages are done, I'll be doing some conventions. If you find me at any of those conventions after March, because that's when it'll be done, and you hand me this, I will give you a copy of the graphic novel for free. So you essentially win a copy of the graphic novel with this. So we're trying to unlock as many as we can right now. We've unlocked already 8 or 7 or 8 at this point, and we're looking to unlock 2 more. So if we get to 100 backers, we'll unlock another spin on the wheel. So you want
Wow.
to get in on that. Yeah.
And you do, and this is on the Catch the Craze.
Yeah.
And
Catch
that,
the craze.
what day is that on again?
Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And you do that. You've been doing that for years now.
Years, man. We started it back in like '06. And then we took a long hiatus, which was probably a mistake because it probably would have been a lot bigger had we not. Came back in 2019, and then the pandemic hit, and we had no idea how to do a podcast like this. Remember, nobody knew how to do this back then. There was no Restream, there was no StreamYard, there was Zoom, maybe I think there was Skype, and those things didn't work so well. So we brought the podcast back, and we've been going strong since. We're up to like episode 600 and something.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while.
I think I've hit. I know I'm in the 200.
You're up there. Yeah, you're up there too.
Close to 3 or recently hit 300. I don't really pay attention to my numbers.
Yeah.
Of what I've done. I basically go on to like my my YouTube playlist and see how many videos are in there. It says, oh, you got this many, and
Yeah, you do. You're up there, man. You're up there. Anibal is in the house. What's up, Anibal?
Hey, man, how's it going? He's a great artist too.
Anibal's awesome.
You got to come on soon.
You know what's funny with Anibal? So Anibal, as long as I've known him, he's always been, he paints too. So like, and we've always talked about how he would be a great digital painter if he decided to do it. And he was, for a long time, he was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. He's gotten into it now. Man, he's an incredible colorist. Holy cow, the stuff that he's coming up with.
I don't think I've seen his digital painting.
Yeah, well, he's coloring. I don't know if he's painting. I don't know if he'll call it painting, but he's definitely coloring digitally, and his coloring is insane. Like it's so good. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, me and him, we chat on occasion on Facebook. We'll send each other artwork, and we'll talk about like, what's it's kind of like something we talked about a while. Kind of what's it called? Like to push each other, make sure that we're getting our work done.
Yeah.
I never have work to like, it's always him doing his stuff, and I think it's fantastic. And it was just lots of stuff going on in my schedule, my life, other things, health issues, whatnot. For sure. But now it's like
gloves are off.
Yeah, doors.
It's on. Yeah, it's on. Yeah.
I have. Like I said, as soon as I finish that one page, that book is done. And it's something I've been working on for years. Like literally, it should have been done during the pandemic. It was, and then I got sick. I got COVID, screwed me up for a while, and that never happened. And on and off. And I finally sat down a couple of weeks ago and finished everything but one page.
Wow.
And it's a how to draw the main character page. So once I finish that up,
that's it.
Which will be tomorrow or Friday, I could start focusing on actual comics again.
There you go. Yeah, no, that would be great, man. That would be great.
Yeah. But I'll have something to send to him now and show what I'm working on there. So, but yeah. Man, I don't know what else to ask you. I don't usually go for an hour. We usually go for longer. So
it's all good. You know what's funny? So obviously when we're doing these Kickstarters, you try to get in as many shows as possible. And I do have another show that I'm running into after this. So
okay, yeah, no worries.
This is good.
Hold on, let me just see what Annabelle says here. He says my technique digitally is painting. Mike and I are counting. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Being colorblind, I can't paint well. As specifically digitally paint. I can't paint in general too well. Right. I'm trying to teach myself to digitally paint in grayscale.
Oh wow, yeah.
But a friend of mine who's an amazing watercolor artist, I was talking with her, and I got to get her on the show one day. You guys, if you could check out Allison Keller's art on Instagram, I don't remember her Instagram handle right now, but look her up. It's dark. I think like dark fairy, dark dragon. I don't know. She does amazing dragon watercolor paintings and whatever. She's unbelievable. And I spoke to her at a show that we did together, and I'm like, I need a lesson. Like, you got to just sit down. And I was explaining how I'm colorblind and I don't do this. She's like, you understand color theory, right? I go, yeah. She goes, have you ever thought about painting with just analogous colors and then throwing a random color in there to make something pop? And I'm like, oh my God, yes. That I like, no, I've never thought of that, but that concept sounds so cool to me that I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to be playing with that right now.
Yeah, no, that sounds cool. That actually
And
sounds really cool.
and I know you got to get going for another show, but just you may have met her. She was next to me at Undiscovered Realm.
Oh yeah, yeah,
All the dragons. Fantastic artist.
yeah. I do remember her. Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So I'm going to give that a try in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, cool, awesome.
Like, because I do miss, like, painting and doing more traditional.
Well, you did a lot of the stuff that you did on the Wiz was you, right? Like, you did all the colors and everything.
Everything, but all my stuff's always bright. That's the thing. It's colors I can see. So it was like a blue a costume for him, white beard, yellow shoes. So it was blue and really yellow. His bird was a dark, kind of like almost. It was like a 90%, black. Excuse me. So, and all the other characters, they were all bright colors.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying. So the primary colors you're good with. It's once you start.
It's when colors start blending, I have
blending. Right.
So.
Got it.
Where are you going next?
So our Robert Garcia has I'm actually going to be on his what is it, on his IG, on his Instagram live. Okay. He does a live, so you guys will see me once I pop on there. You'll see my live, the classic wizard colors. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so you'll see me, like, if you follow me on Instagram, you guys will see me go live with our Robert Garcia. He's got a book called Retribution, which is also a cool book, and so he does an IG live that I'm going to be on with him.
Let me, before I forget, and I know sometimes it has an issue doing this, and if you guys don't see it, whether you're watching from YouTube or Facebook, let me know. But I'm posting the Kickstarter link. I forgot to do that earlier. If you're watching from YouTube or if you're watching on Facebook, let me know if you can't see, because it always says can't post messages to some channels. It doesn't tell me which one.
Which ones?
Yeah.
Nice. Way to go.
So anyway, let's wrap up. I'll let you get going over to your other channel. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to
Thank you.
Always good chatting. And you're still 5 minutes from my house and I never see you.
I know, man. We need to. There's an Applebee's right up the hill, bro. We can just go to Applebee's, have lunch or something, and just hang out. You
let me know when I'm around. I'm not going anywhere.
Let's freaking do it, man. Let's do it. But yeah, no, it's so funny that we literally up the hill. Like, I literally can walk up the hill to your house. Like, that's how close we are.
Yeah. I mean, I won't do the walk, but I can drive there. It is about what, a 10-minute walk to Applebee's for me.
Yeah, no, it is. It's right there. It's right there. Or the Starbucks, whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Either one. All right. Well, you guys, listen up. There's not going to be a show next week. I'm going to be on a little relaxation vacation type of thing. So I will be back. I don't know the exact date, the following Wednesday. So next Wednesday is what, the 5th?
Wednesday's the 5th.
5th.
Yeah.
So I'll be back. I guess that would be the 12th, right?
Yeah.
I'll be back with a show on the 12th. I got it. Actually, I'm blanking on the guy's name, but it's a really fun show.
Nice.
Really. Right. Like, this dude is awesome. And when we talk about his art, you guys are going to be like, I think you'll be impressed. So anyway, guys, I will see you all in 2 weeks. I don't know. I might do some little streaming videos or whatever. So with that, again, George, thank you for coming on. Good luck with the rest of your Kickstarter. And if you guys haven't backed it yet, please go on and back this. Today is October 29th. So if you're watching after we record this, please make sure it's within the next 7 days because that's how many
Yeah, November 6th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the last
it's
day.
recorded.
Yeah,
Okay,
so try to get in on it before that. But yeah, no, thanks, Mike. You're always awesome, bro. Thank you so much for having me on here. And we definitely have to work on some stuff. Plunger Pup and Wonder Dog, that would be nice.
absolutely,
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk. And we're up there. We'll get together. We'll have lunch.
absolutely. All right, I will talk with you all later. You guys have a great rest of your night, week, whenever you're watching, and I'll be back